democracy looks like. This is what 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 democracy looks like.
Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today I'm going to be talking about how change comes when you believe in yourself. My guest this week is Aadya Chaudhary, and she is a co-founder of You Empower, which is an organization working on connecting young girls to women who are leading various industries. I got to talk with Aadya about her work with You Empower, as well as her work with a project called Math Mania. So without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Aadya Chaudhary.
So, hey, I'm Aadya Chaudhary. I'm a current high school junior, and my biggest passion to date is woman empowerment. Since middle school, I've been creating presentations for woman empowerment. I used to post them on like LinkedIn, Instagram, and then slowly I started getting into writing about woman empowerment and equality in today's world. And slowly, all of those things cultivated into my most proud project today, You Empower. And You Empower is um, a platform designed to bring representative individuals to young girls and to inspire these young girls to strive to be leaders in various fields that they're interested in. In addition to this, I also am a huge believer in youth resources. So I do math competitions for elementary school students in my area. So they're like little times math worksheets every week, and it's called Math Mania. And I use it to encourage mathematical literacy in young students. So I really strive on the belief of just providing young individuals with resources because they're the future leaders of the world. And that's my whole thing, just providing them with these resources and making sure that they have the full capability to reach the level that they want to reach in their life.
Definitely. And can you tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to get started with this work? You are involved in a few different projects, and I just love to know more about what motivated you to want to empower young people in these different ways.
Yeah, so specifically in terms of educating young girls, I was one of three girls in my computer science coding class, and it kind of all stemmed from there because in a class of 35 people, there were only three girls, including me. And seeing that ratio difference really inspired me to be like, okay, what is the true like cause of this issue and how can we fix this? And I found that the main cause was very much just openness to the topic from girls and just kind of that little like encouragement, the little push to take the leap and go into comp sci classes, even physics classes, math classes. And that realization kind of spurred the whole You Empower movement. In terms of the math competition, the Math Mania that I work on, I noticed that there's a huge gap in mathematical literacy in young students. Even I see it in some of my brother's friends and I see it even for myself at a certain point, and I wanted to fix that in a way that's fun because I've seen that tutoring, of course, is provided. There's so many help platforms, but I really wanted to be a part of a way that's very fun for the students and very engaging and kind of leads them to take initiative in their own mathematical education. And that was kind of how I got involved in Math Mania.
Definitely. And as far as the young people that you're working with now, are you working mainly with students in your community? Do you have any plans to work with more students, especially when it comes to Mathmania?
So with Math Mania, we're currently working with 700, around 700 students in about 30 plus classes. And currently we're only at one school, but we this year are proudly expanding to almost three or four schools. And it's currently in the process, which is very exciting because it allows us to bring this mathematical kind of engagements to over 2,000 students, which is very exciting for Math Mania and I think very impactful in the community. In terms of You Empower, we're international, so we currently work with 140 girls all across the world. We have members in Pakistan, India, Philippines, China, um, all across the United States, which is very amazing. Um, and we've reached almost 40,000 people through our initiatives, such as our Connect events that we post online, and our different networking webinars, and various collaborations that we've done with organizations like Global Science and Youth. And we're currently a Lean In Girls partner, which is also very exciting, which I hope we're going to start implementing in schools in our area, in our local community. And yeah.
That is so interesting. So, can you tell me a little bit more about the gaps that you saw in young people's education that made you want to get started with Mathmania? Why do you think those gaps exist for these young people that you're working with in your community?
So I think there's a stigma around math almost that, math is difficult. I've heard a lot of my friends will be like, oh, like just math is just so hard. And it creates kind of like a mental block towards learning math. Whereas Math Mania creates an engaging and fun environment, like a fun approach to math versus creating an intimidating environment around math. So I think changing that environment, that mental space, that math isn't scary, but math is fun, I think that has a huge impact on mathematical literacy. I believe also the way you teach math, because some students are taught in a very um, like quick manner and not very engaging, and it's hard to grasp and understand material when it's not engaging. And that's essentially what Mathmania strives to do. It strives to present the same material in a way that it'll click with various students because of its engaging nature. I think another root cause could be that many times the application of what we're doing isn't seen in school. So a lot of the times I'll hear, oh, like I'll never use this in my life. So I feel like until you create that engagement and that fun environment, students aren't able to see the application of math, which I think is a huge part of it. Like me personally, I recently took statistics, and the reason that I was finding it so interesting and so engaging is the real world application part of it. And I think that is a huge root cause of gaps in mathematical literacy.
I think that's so true. And I can really, really relate with that point about statistics. For me, that was the first time that I was in a math class that I could really see the real world application for these concepts that I was learning. And then I think that made me a lot more interested in the class. So I think that's really important. You mentioned a little bit about expanding these projects to reach more people. Can you tell me about your plans for the future of You Empower and Mathmania?
Sure. So for You Empower, our main goal, I work with two co-founders, Harshita Chintapuri and Ayushi Patel, and our main goal is to kind of create chapters around the world with our different members, because we don't want to be the initiators of everything. Our main goal is to bring this initiative to our members and have them initiate their own projects and their own leadership abilities we want them to cultivate. So, our main goal is creating chapters around the world that are led and managed by our You Empower members in order to give them leadership experience and help them gain leadership skills. So, that's one of our main growth goals right now, because as we were brainstorming, how can we truly allow them to be leaders in their community versus just doing networking webinars and mentorship sessions? We wanted a little bit more. We wanted to really ensure that we were allowing them to take the initiative. And so our solution to that was creating chapters, because we found that running the chapter allows them to kind of exercise their own decisions and their own management in order to grow their own chapter, which we found was like encouraged the leadership initiative and encouraged success in the workforce as well. Um, so that's one of our main growth for You Empower. Another thing that we're focusing on is we're currently partnering with Lean and Girls, which is super exciting. It's a new organization, I believe, by Sheryl Sandberg. And we want to bring leadership webinars to local schools in our community in underprivileged areas because we want to show those girls that leadership is a skill that can be attained at any level and then can be grown at any level to reach success further down the line. So, in terms of growth, that's what we're focusing on right now. Mathmania, I'm working with some of my school friends to expand this to different schools in our community because I believe the more students that we can impact, the better it will be for the future of our community directly. But I also hope to expand out of our community. I live in the Fort Lauderdale area, so I would love to be able to expand to schools in Miami, schools in Northern Florida. I think that would be really cool and really amazing in terms of bringing mathematical literacy statewide. Another thing that I'm actually working on right now, which it's a fairly new project, but Invest Ed, it's a startup that I created with a few friends, and it's to bring investing education to students. And essentially, it lies under the same theme of bringing youth resources so that they can learn and grow and cultivate their skills and be successful adults in the future. So currently, in terms of growth for that, we're focusing on our app prototype and kind of very much creating a platform that students can use to teach themselves investing in a way that hasn't been done before.
I think that's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to following along with all of this work. So, I have one more question for you. Lots of young people want to create change and make a difference, but they may not know how to get started with that work. What advice do you have for those people who may be listening?
I think my biggest advice is don't let the fear of starting hold you back because I remember first um, starting You Empower Invest Ed and getting involved in Mathmania, and I remember just being so hesitant, just like can I really do this? Is this something that's possible on the level that I want it to be at? And I think my biggest advice is don't doubt yourself because you're capable of so much more than you can anticipate at the moment. And go step by step. Lay out everything that you want to do. Have goals, of course, but don't overwhelm yourself with the goals. Don't look at goals for 4 to 5 years down the line, but really focus on what needs to be done at this moment and then the next moment to eventually reach those 4 or 5 year goals. I think that was a problem that I struggled with at the beginning. I would set very huge goals, and it would end up becoming overwhelming for myself. So what I started doing is setting little goals leading up to the bigger goal, and I found that that really helped motivate me and keep me on track versus overwhelming me with so much just so much unknown. And another advice that I have is ask questions to individuals that you know who have been a part of different organizations, a part of different industries, because there's so much information that you can learn from professionals in your field. Like if you're starting an initiative in education, ask educational professionals like what do they think of your idea, what is their perspective on your idea. I feel like it helps so much. For You Empower, we talked to so many leading individuals in various industries, and for Mathmania I talked to many teachers, and getting that input from someone who has been in that industry for so many years is so helpful, essentially because like they call it in business, it's your market research. You're understanding which direction to take your initiative, your project, your organization in. So I think having that base work is very, very important. And those are my biggest pieces of advice if you're just starting out, and mostly just believe in yourself and have faith that you can do it. Don't get scared, don't be hesitant, but believe that it is possible.
I think the work that Aadya is doing is so important, and I think she shared a lot of great advice at the end of our conversation. I want to highlight her advice about believing in yourself, because I feel like she's really exemplifying that advice by starting these different projects and doing all of this work, but also helping other people to believe in themselves. Through You Empower, she's helping girls get connected to women and helping them to believe that they too can do the work that those women are doing. And with Mathmania, she's helping students who may struggle with or not like math believe that they can learn it and do well. I think she exemplifies her own advice, and I think we can all keep her story in mind because change comes when you believe in yourself. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Aadya on Instagram at Aadya Chaudhary _ to get connected with her. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at bethechangepodcast. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.